Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tabitha Carr. I do videos about acting and lifestyle, and today we're going to talk about books. So, welcome to my bookshelf. It's very not organized, but it's fine. Okay, so today we are going to talk about all of the books that I read in 2025. We're going to do a speed run thoughts on all of the books that I read this year, and then we're gonna finish it out with my worst books of 2025, which I feel like anybody's art. I don't want to say it's the worst. I feel bad. I don't know, like as an artist, I don't want to dunk on anybody, but the worst books of 2025, and then we're gonna finish up with the top books of 2025. So let's get into it. I am known to yap, so I'm going to try not to yap. That's why we are going to do rapid fire thoughts. As far as my reading goals went, I started out wanting to read 50 books, but I then lowered that goal to 40 books, and I read 39. So here we are. We started off the year with Iron Flame. I was getting ready for Onyx Storm to come out. I listened to the dramatized version, the graphic audio version. It's so good. Oh my goodness. I really love the dramatized versions. I just think they're so immersive, and 10 out of 10 experience. Absolutely love. Anytime you can get your hands on a graphic audio, do it. That brings us next up to Onyx Storm. I also have a vlog where I read Onyx Storm. No spoilers or anything like that, but I just sort of vlogged the experience, and that was really fun. That was a great way to kick off the new year, and like having the box arrive and like opening it up and seeing the like sprayed edges. It was such a beautiful experience. So if you want to go watch that vlog, I'll put it up here. I thought it was really good. It's my least favorite of the three. I just think it's a very middling book where you have to set up a lot of plot for future things to come, and so sometimes that does the current book a disservice because you're holding out information for future books. So I just think it's a middle child of all of the Iron Flame books, which I have done here. They're so good. Next up, I read Be Ready When the Luck Happens by Ina Garten, and it was a delight. I don't know, it was so inspiring that life just happens, like not whenever you're ready for it, but you have to, the title of the book is Be Ready When the Luck Happens, but you have to be ready to show up whenever your life decides to throw you a curveball. And I can do a whole deep dive into this, but I just think it's a very magical book. I absolutely enjoyed it. Her life surprised me so much. I don't really know a lot about Ina Garten, but I feel like I have sort of in my mind, like what I grew up with, like say my mom having like Martha Stewart on or Ina Garten on is like maybe like boring, but Martha Stewart and Ina Garten lived like very complex and interesting lives. Like no woman and no person is boring, so you know, it's shame on me for thinking that, but it was a very good book, very inspiring, very aesthetic. Like if you just want like a book that feels like a good cup of coffee, good fireside book, I would say it's really great for like autumn or even like winter right now, like just whenever you need a cozy little vibe. So good. And then I read a Hollywood industry book, They Went Another Way, a Hollywood memoir. It's by Bruce Eric Kaplan. I would say this is a good book. It's very accurate to the Hollywood experience, but that also means that it's kind of depressing because Hollywood is a really challenging industry, and a lot of people in it are extremely depressed because it is so hard. And if you really want to know what it's like everything I learned in my college program was so much so what was in this book, I would say it's insightful. Then I read Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men by Lundy Bancroft. I think every woman should read this, full stop. It's like a textbook, like it's required reading. Not very fun reading, but required reading. Then I read How to Stop Acting. A renowned acting coach shares his revolutionary approach to landing roles, developing them, and keeping them alive. That's the title. By Harold Guskin. It was really great. I loved his approach to acting. Can I tell you what they are right now? No, but I think it's a no BS way to approach it. Just very naturalistic. And it wasn't like heady, like this is the craft of acting. It's like No, it's like we're actors, like we rehearse and we live our lives and all this. And a lot of it is about showing up on the day and seeing like what kind of unearths, which sounds heady, but it's not. Then we have The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. I really, really enjoyed this one. I can't wait to read the next ones. I think I listened to it on audiobook and it was just really immersive. Maybe it was a good audiobook narrator or something. It wasn't immersive in the way that the graphic audios are, but I don't know. I could just visualize everything, and maybe it's because I love Peter Pan, but I was really invested in this story. Then I read The Crucible by Arthur Miller. Honestly, I couldn't remember if I had read it in high school, so I wanted to just make sure that I had it checked off. And it was a short one. It was a short one to get closer to my reading goal, which was amazing. Very helpful. I think I read this one during my trying to catch up on rereading videos vlog that I did. That was super fun. The Crucible, it was okay. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. I think it had a lot of really great like quotes in it. It's just, I feel like what surprised me so much about it is that it was written, I believe, in the 1950s, reflecting on a time in the 1800s, and it still feels relevant in 2026. So, and I was reading in 2025, but it's still relevant this year too. It's kind of depressing, to be honest. We don't learn. I read New Poems of Emily Dickinson, and honestly, I didn't really enjoy reading this one. It was sort of like fabricated poems from her journals and letters and things like that, and I just kind of wish I just started with a book of her actual poems rather than like what somebody has sort of contrived from her writing. It almost feels, I don't know, in a way it's like a violation. Like, do you want your letters to be printed as like, oh, poems? But it was like, I don't know, this intimate moment in your life. A Touch of Malice by Scarlett St. Clair. I can't remember how I felt about this one. I feel like a lot of her books, I did give this one 4 stars, so that's something. Oh wait, no, I gave it 3. Never mind, I gave it 3. I thought it was very average. I feel like whenever I read books from the series, I really want to love them because my best friend loves them. But at the same time, she also wrote a book that I absolutely loved enough to buy it, which is saying a lot for me. So she wrote King of Battle and Blood, which I absolutely loved, like I said, enough to buy it, and to buy a signed copy. So I just think sometimes her writing can be hit or miss, and this was one of those misses for me, where it was just a book that I read. I couldn't really tell you what happens in it. Then we have The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I don't know, I think I ranked this one 3 stars. It was just another average book where it could have been better. It just wasn't my favorite thing ever. I don't know, there was a lot of twists in it, which was interesting, you know, at the end. Like, I didn't expect the ending, but that didn't necessarily make the ending amazing. So it just, middle of the road for me. Then I read Make Believe Poems for Hoping Again by Victoria Hutchins. I love her on social media, and I love her book of poems as well. No reason that it couldn't have been in the top 5 other than I read some really good books this year, actually. Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Honestly, this could have been in a bottom 5. I really liked Haunting Adeline, and this just felt like the trauma was ongoing, but I don't think it's a reason for it to not be on bookshelves or not be sold, or like all the reasons people cancel it. Like, please, there's so much worse out there. I think it handles the trauma as best as it can, like within the confines of this book. It's not for me. I really liked Haunting Adeline, and I loved, there's a scene in Haunting Adeline where they go through, what is that called? A scare maze, and I'm obsessed with that scene. Like, I think about that scene a lot, and I just don't feel like it carried over the vibes of Haunting Adeline, because they put the main characters in such a dark position where they're gonna end up pretty miserable by the end because of like the given circumstances. The Killer Across the Table by John E. Douglas. This is the book that inspired Mindhunter. I think it was fine. I give it 4 stars, but I think it's an interesting read, but I think the show is better, so you could skip the book and just watch the show and you'll get the same idea. Then I read Passion or Penalty by Leah Brenner because I love hockey romances. Oh goodness, I gave this 1 star. I think it was a really short book. Yeah, I don't think it was very spicy. I don't think the romance was very well fleshed out. Like, I don't know. It just wasn't a very good book. I'm really sorry, Leah. Again, could have been bottom 5, but I guess I read a lot of really bad books this year. Then I read another industry book called We Decided to Go in a Different Direction, Essays by Tess Sanchez. I actually, like, my acting work has been seen by Tess Sanchez, which is just a cool little fun fact about me, but I really, really loved this book and about Hollywood and how your life sometimes like veers away and you find different sorts of happiness, but having your dreams slip out of your fingers or be taken away from you and finding your autonomy within that. It's really a gorgeous, gorgeous book about chasing your dreams and how hard and brutal it can be in the Hollywood industry. Another good one to read because it shows you just how depressing Hollywood can be, but I think actors and people who want to be creatives kind of need that dose of reality sometimes, but we also need the delusion to be able to carry on. So while we were in California, I thought this would be the perfect book to read, and it was, but it wasn't that good. Okay, so LA Noir, The Struggle for the Soul of America's Most Seductive City. It's about the like building up of LA, I want to say from like the 1920s to like the 1960s. I gave it 1 star because I feel like you could tell the author's biases from reading it, and I think he was trying to talk about some like socio-political things and maybe try to keep his biases out of it, but you could just tell the way that he would write about something was just like, that rubs me the wrong way. So I think whenever I read the first thing that took me aback, where I was like, oh, that seems a little offensive, I was like, I'm gonna bump it down a star. I want to say it started at like 5 or 4 stars, like really amazing, interesting history about LA and about our country and like so much that I didn't know. I was obsessed with it at first, and then it got me like halfway through the book before I saw the first thing and I was like, oh, ew, okay, I'm gonna bump it down to like 3-4 stars. And then for every icky thing that kept happening, it was like, all right, 1 star, no thank you, absolutely not. I can't rank it any higher than that. I'm going as fast as I can, I'm so sorry. Then we have Problematic Summer Romance, which I adored. It's so good. It's this sequel, second in a series, and I didn't even notice because I was just so obsessed with it. It was really good. It's the perfect summer read. Then I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Oh, I read something else of hers. Oh, she wrote The Boyfriend. Oh, that's really interesting. And I liked The Housemaid. I want to say I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a really solid book. I really like what it's set up. I mean, you know that there are sequels that come eventually. So I really like how we got to that place. And it really kept me on my toes. There's fun twists and turns, like it's really good. People were saying it was really addicting, and I would say it's like averagely addicting. Like I wouldn't say like I couldn't put it down, like I was so obsessed with it, but it was like, it was compelling. It was really compelling. I wouldn't say addicting though for me. If it was super addicting, then it would have been 5 stars. Then we have House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard. It took me so long to get into this book. I would say it's a 3 or 4. Like by the end, it gets to be really interesting. It just took a lot to get into the world, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. I also haven't seen the show that it's sort of like, it's not based off of, but it's inspired by like Peaky Blinders, and I haven't seen that, but I do really like that aesthetic. but maybe if I'd seen Peaky Blinders, I would like it better. I could maybe see myself giving it a 4. Like the beginning of the book, a 3. End of the book, 4. Okay, then we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. It was a cute book. It's about a 3. It's just a solid, it's a book, it's good, it's not bad. And then we have Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young, and it's supposed to be like based on like Gilmore Girls loosely. I liked it. I would say keep in mind the trigger warnings. I don't usually get triggered by things, and it's like the book has foster care in it, so that's one of the trigger warnings associated with it. I've never been in the foster care system, but for some reason it gave me anxiety reading the book, like waiting for something bad to happen. And maybe that's what it's supposed to do, to emulate the feeling of the foster care system, that something can go wrong at any moment. But it was very endearing. I really, really liked the characters. I mean, I love Jess. Like, it was very true to what Jess was like. I would say it's not very true to what, like, Rory is like, who it's supposed to be based off of. So if you love Jess, then you'll probably love this book. So, I mean, I would say it's a solid 3 or 4. So that is my rapid fire, which took me 25 minutes to get through. Okay, I have to go to a meeting. Back from my work meeting, so I'm sorry if lighting has changed. I turned on my ring light to try to help. But we are going to go through the worst books of 2025 that I read and the best books of 2025 that I read. Starting off, I feel really bad putting this in my bottom 5, but Dracula. I really loved the way that I read this. It's like a Substack email list. You get to read it day by day. So the way Dracula is written is all of these journal entries from different point of views. And so it will email you on the day that whatever happened in Dracula occurred. And I just think that is the coolest way to read a book. I would say there's a lot of value in Dracula. There's a lot of modern nuances that I think you can find in it. Like, I do think there could be like a queer story within Dracula. As far as like a solid classic book where it's just like a good standalone book, where it's just an interesting story in and of itself, like I just wasn't riveted by the book itself. There are honestly a lot of classics in my bottom 5, and I'm so sorry for that to the literary community, and I'd love to discuss it with you down below, but it is what it is. And then there were none. I've heard about this Agatha Christie for so long. I thought it would be so good, but I didn't like the ending. Like, I didn't like the reveal. I didn't like any of the mystery elements. I felt like I couldn't follow it. I really like a mystery where I feel like I'm getting to solve it side by side. And I just feel like there weren't enough clues for me personally to follow it. That could very well be on me. We have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I just think if you didn't know what Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was, then it would be very good if you didn't know the ending. But the whole story is sort of the lead up to, well, who's Mr. Hyde? And it's like, well, if you know who Mr. Hyde is, which I do know who Mr. Hyde is because of the Bugs Bunny episode. Do y'all remember that? The ending is sort of like the best part about it. And otherwise, it just wasn't that good. I just feel like there are other classics that have really like struck me, and I'm like, oh, this is why it's a classic. Like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, even though it's super long and is sometimes like, it's hard to keep my attention because it's just so long and it takes me so long to read it that I end up like, I don't know, stopping reading it for whatever reason. But I really love Anna Karenina. Like, I've really loved like the world that is in, and I am obsessed. Pride and Prejudice was amazing. There was another one that was really freaking good. Jane Eyre. Oh my goodness, I love Jane Eyre. It was so good. What did I read it? Did I read it? Okay, I gave it 3 stars, but I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I gave it 3 stars. And maybe I just like love stories, and that's it. But I also love Frankenstein. I love The Great Gatsby. This is sort of a double-edged sword because it's in my worst books of 2025, but I also read 6 of them. So take that for what it's worth. So it's the Barbarian Alien series. I really like the plot of the books, but I think there's just so much romance and so much smut that I don't feel like the actual world building gets a lot of attention. Like, I just read one that'll count towards this year, and I think it's called Barbarian's Touch, and there was so much world building in it. I was like, this is so interesting. And I do feel like, to some extent, a lot of the characters are like, you could switch them out for any of the women or any of the men, like they're just sort of carbon copies of each other. There's also like a lot of typos in it and things like that it kind of takes me out of it, or repetitions, like just saying the same thing over and over again like I just did. I don't think that that's what you're getting out of it, is for it to be like the perfect book. I don't think that's what you're going in for. So I don't want to be like, that's me being a really harsh critic, but again, I also read 6 of them, so they were amazing at the same time that I do have criticisms of them. You can have 2 feelings and both of them be true. And I will continue to read all of them. And honestly, I owe so many of the books, like 6 of these books out of the 39 that I read were Barbarian Alien. And so I owe a lot of like the reading rut I was in. Like, Barbarian Alien helped me not get out of it, but like keep reading. Otherwise, I feel like I just wouldn't have read, and that is a shame. So I owe a lot to the Barbarian Alien series, despite the fact that they're on my worst books of 2025. Okay, last but not least is extremely devastating because I loved the first one so much. It's the book Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. Lights Out was the most fun I've had reading a book in a long time. I mean, I did the audiobook, but for the actors in the audiobook, like, you have to. They're so good, especially, I can't remember his name. Jacob Morgan. He's so good. He's so freaking talented. And so I really wanted to like Caught Up, but I just did not enjoy it as much as I liked the first one. And so therefore it's making my worst of 2025, just because I was so disappointed by how much I didn't like it. I don't even remember exactly like what happens in the book, but I feel like that's what happens whenever I don't really like a book. Top 5. I read some really good books this year and I'm so excited. Okay, this is literally the top book that I read. The other, like my worst of 2025, I didn't have really in any particular order, but this is the #1 book that I read all year long. And it was Alchemized / I read it as Manacled by Sin Lin Yu. It's so good. I constantly think about this book. I had a vlog where I talked about it with my best friend because I gifted the book to her because I was like, you need to read this. It's a lot. It's really, really heavy. Trigger warnings abound, but it was the most compelling book that I've read in a very long time. I mean, like I said, Lights Out was the most fun that I had reading in a long time, but this was the most compelling. I think about this book at least once a week. And like, you know, whenever you're like craving, like watching a movie or something like that, and you're like, oh, like, you know, what's that movie that I want to watch right now? It's like, I have that sensation with this book, like synesthesia, like with this book. I will probably end up rereading it at some point. And I think there's a lot of value in rereading this book. Almost like, I think there's value if you finish the book and then you start it over immediately. I think if I were to start the book right now, I'll have forgotten a lot of what happens and things will surprise me again. But I think if you finish the book and start it over immediately, you're gonna have an entirely different experience reading it the second time through. It's that good of a book. Second up, I loved this series so much. I know it has another name, but it's, to me, the Butcher and Blackbird series. It's a trilogy. I would say the order that they're written is my favorites, you know, like 1, 2, 3. The third being like not as good as like the first or the second. It's such a fun little series. Totally unexpected, and you don't expect to like these characters because they're good people, but they do extremely bad things. Ooh, okay, I also discovered probably one of my favorite authors that I have found in a while, and her name is Allie Hazelwood. I've already mentioned one of her books that I read, so I read 3 of hers this year. I read Bride, which was so good. Oh my goodness. I love, she does really exquisite like world building, meaning like in the next one up that I read was Deep End, and it's like that is like whatever story you are in, it doesn't matter like the world building that you're doing. Like one of them was like literally just a story about a girl who does like college sports like swimming or diving, I think it might be. Like I am in that pool, I am smelling the, what is that called, like the pool bleach or whatever. Like you are so like all senses are utilized whenever you read these books. And then Bride is about like this vampire werewolf forced marriage situation, and it's so good. And then let's see, I of course Problematic Summer Romance, whatever, was beautiful. It's like in this like Italian summer wedding situation, and so I felt like I was a guest at that wedding. She is impeccable. She also like uses a very broad vocabulary, so I felt like I was learning new words, which as a 28-year-old woman, like I don't necessarily come across a lot of new words, which I know sounds silly, but if you are somebody who grew up reading a lot, maybe like that makes sense to you. Like I always want to be learning more, and I felt like I was having fun and I was learning whenever I was reading her books. So I can't wait to read more of hers in the new year. Okay, last but not least, this is a new author. You Are Fatally Invited. I love a good murder mystery, and I felt like you could really, like I took notes of every character after every chapter, and I was updating it constantly. Like, and I think I'm 99% sure that I got it right. I think there were some twists that I didn't quite guess, which is always fun because you don't want it to be too predictable. You don't want to be, I'm getting too excited. You don't want it to be too predictable, but you also don't want to not guess anything. And that's what I felt with, and then there were none, like there weren't any clues for me to follow. And so it wasn't very fun, but you also don't want it to like spoon feed you. And I felt like this did a really good job. It was an absolute delight. I talked to my sister who also read this, and she also loved it. Like I'm obsessed that this was her first book because it was so good that I can't wait to see what she does next. Like, not to put like too much pressure and too much hype, but like, dang, like come out swinging. This was not as much of a speed run as I would have wanted it to be, and I'm sorry about that. But these are all the books that I read in 2025, 39 books in total. It wasn't my best reading year, but also I read some of my favorite books. Like Alchemized is definitely like, if someone were to ask me what my favorite book is, that's what it would be at this moment in time. Favorite author is gonna be Allie Hazelwood. Guess what? I found her this year. And it's nice to look back and see that it wasn't as much of a wasted year as I thought, because I found so many favorites. So who knows what we're gonna read in 2026? I have no idea. I have 50 books as my reading goal, but I don't know if I'm gonna complete that. Just coming off of this year and failing this year, I don't know what to expect from myself. I need to stop talking to you. I've talked to you for so long. I love to yap. I warned you at the beginning of the video, but I love you guys. Subscribe if you're new here. We have lots of fun, very silly vibes, very imperfect, but just finding ways to thoroughly enjoy life, because I spent a lot of my time not enjoying life, and now is the time where I just enjoy it and take it for what it is in all of its imperfect ways. So anyhow, I love you. I will see you in the next one.